Hi there! Welcome back to my channel. As you can see from my background, I'm still on that mushroom hype train. But this doll is actually super special. It's my first collab! I'm collaborating with these lovely artists. Their videos will be linked below. For this video, we decided to make mushroom-themed fairies. For my doll, I picked the Wrinkled peach mushroom. But what doll should I use? Ah yes, let's use Frankie Stein. Big Me, bring her in. OMG, where's your head? Oh, there it is. I think that her green skin will look great against the pink of the mushroom. Well, let's get started. Oops. Well, Big Me, take her away. So, I've actually already wiped her face off, so we're gonna get started on her hair. For her, we're actually going to be using embroidery floss, which is kind of tedious, but in the end it actually looks really cool, so I think it was worth it. Go ahead and measure out a length, how much you want, and we're going to go ahead and cut that up. Once you have enough lengths, you're going to take your embroidery floss and you're actually going to feed it through a needle. Now this is kind of tedious, but in the end it looks really cool, so go ahead, feed it through the needle, and then you're going to pick a hole on the back of her head to start with. Shove it in, and pull the needle out through her neck hole. Once you have it pulled out, we're going to tie a little knot and pull it back through. Once you have enough, we're going to cheat and use some magic. Guess that magic didn't work. Let's try that again. There we go. So after 5.5 hours of doing her hair, it looks like this. I noticed that the thread actually came loose at this point, but it actually twisted itself back together quite nicely, so I decided it would look cool if she had sort of similar hairstyle to dreadlocks. Not really sure what I would call this hairstyle, but that was the closest I could think of. So to do that, what you do is you take a chunk and you twist it pretty tight, and it should hold its shape. But that's going to take a while. And this is what it looked like in the end. I actually really love how it turned out. It kind of looks like a mix of bacon and candy, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I do really like it. So let's get started on the face. For her face, I want to give her kind of a sad, somber expression because she's supposed to be a wrinkled peach mushroom, and they're known for crying golden tears, so I wanted to make her look sad. Also, when drawing this face, I decided that she was going to be a sad magical girl, so more on that later. Once you kind of get the rough sketch in of one side of the face, go ahead and copy it onto the other. It helps if you actually rotate or flip the doll when you're working on her opposite side. That's because when you are drawing the face, sometimes your hand does get in the way, so when you rotate her, it makes it a lot easier. Though it does look kind of funny. Once we do get that rough sketch kind of sketched in. Rough sketched in. I don't think that's what I should say. I think the phrasing I want is, once we have the left side of the face sketched in as well, we can actually move on to the color. So I actually decided to give her orange eyes to kind of mimic that golden tears that the mushroom does have, and also there's so much pink on the rest of her design, I felt like orange was a nice break to it. And from here on out, we kind of follow the similar rules to all the other face-ups. Put in as much color as you can. Once the color is fully built in, you're going to take her outside, spray her with Mr. Super Clear, and then continue. Now, let's talk a little bit about her character. So when I designed her, I actually completely designed her on a whim, no sketches, no concept. I just grabbed a doll and started working. She actually is completely inspired by one of the other collaborators I worked with, Insanely Customs. She sent a final photo of what she had done, and I thought oh no, my doll is not good enough. It does not look great against hers. So I actually scrapped that entire project and made her. I actually really love how this doll turned out, but maybe I'll finish the other doll and post her some other time. So the general concept I am going with her is she's a sad magical girl. If you've ever watched animes like Madoka Magica, it's kind of that concept. She basically decided she wanted to be a magical girl, she sold her soul, and along the way she lost all her friends. So she's actually she has a messed up backstory, the most messed up of all of them. So she's kind of just sad, but her tears are magical and can bring people back to life, which she doesn't know this at this time. So if there's any interest in it, maybe I'll make her a crew of magical girls that are kind of themed around her, that are like her best friends. But the state that she's in right now, she's just really sad. So I gave her these really oblong shaped eyes. Very different than my usual eye, but I actually really like how they turned out. So here we're actually filling in her lips. I actually asked a few different people what color I should make her lips, and everyone kind of agreed that matching it to her eyes would probably look best. At the time, I actually really hated her lips, but now that she's done it all together, I think they actually add the perfect touch of a secondary color to her palette, because she is just green and pink. And we're gonna blush her. For blushing, I use crushed up chalk pastels. I just kind of brush them on with a makeup brush. I'm using a pink and a mint green for this. But after I did that, I realized that I accidentally covered her eyes, so I had to redo them again, and all the whites that I had already put on her face. As you can see, she has diamond pupils right now. I thought it would be a cute concept, but in the end, I accidentally mess it up, so she just gets round pupils. As you can see here, I'm actually giving her baby hairs. I've always thought of Frankie Stein as more of an African-American character than a white character, just because of the way the doll is shaped and her big lips and her facial structure, I guess. So I decided that this doll would look really cute with baby hairs. At a certain point, your colors are going to stop building on the pencil level, and there's two different options you can go with here. You can either start lifting the pigment off of the pencils, which is what I'm actually doing right here. I'm taking a brush, getting it wet, and I'm actually pulling off the orange from the colored pencil. So that's one option you can do. Just know that if you do this, you can't draw on top of it, as you will chip the paint off. But you can also move solely to acrylic paints. So I'm kind of using a mix of acrylic paints, watercolor paints, and watercolor pencils to finish up her face. And at this point, you can see I'm still trying to give her those diamond pupils, but right here is actually when I mess it up and I make it look too circular. So I decided from here to actually just give her circle pupils. Another pro tip, if you have too much paint on your paintbrush, you can always use the hair wrapping the dolls in to wipe off your extra paint. That's kind of what I do. Maybe not the best idea, but it'll just be our little secret. So again, with the pupils, you can see the left one is actually still a diamond and the right one is a circle. I'm gonna fix that in the next clip. Now, once her face is fully done, I spray her down with Mr. Super Clear and I redo her eyeliner with black acrylic paint. That way it pops as much as it can. I decided to not give this doll eyelashes as I felt like it would kind of contrast with the big anime eyes that I'd given her. I then took some acrylic paint and painted in some tiny hairs in her eyebrows to give them more definition. Now that that's done, we're gonna add in the eye shines. And of course, the lip shines. I can't not do it, it just looks so cute. For her magical tear, I decided to make it gold with gold alcohol ink. Then we're gonna take some shiny gloss varnish and put it on her eye lines and lips. And with that, her face is done. I think she looks so cute, but so sad. I feel so bad for her. So now we gotta reattach her head. Go ahead, heat it up with a hairdryer and put it on. I am sorry this footage is off camera, but in the end, I think she actually ended up pretty cute altogether. So now it's time to work on her clothes. I'm going to be using these patterns and these fabrics. I'm going to be using the skirt from Delightful Sundress and the top from the Regency dress. I actually did not use any of the ballet pattern. Once you get your pieces cut out, it's time to add some sparkle to the sleeves. Go ahead and just crumple it up and ta-da, new pieces. Now, her skirt needs something a little extra. So I'm actually going to take this glitter iron-on vinyl and cut it out. Once it's cut out and ironed onto a piece of fabric, go ahead and attach it to the skirt. Once it's all cut out and attached, we're actually going to add on the ruffle on the bottom of the skirt. Go ahead and take your preferred piece of fabric, crumple it up, toss it in the air, and ta-da, it's perfect. We're going to actually gather it along that line. I'm going to take the two pieces and attach them. And this is the skirt all finished. Now we need to make the top. We're going to glue around the top edge of the top to make sure that it does not fray on us. Once it's all glued down, we are going to attach the sleeves and finish up the side seams. And here's the top all finished. Go ahead and attach it to the skirt. And this is what it looks like. I ended up messing up the pattern, so I actually had to stitch it onto her. So she's going to be stuck in this dress forever. And now we're going to make the shoes. I decided to pull the Enchantarium Winx Club kind of look for her shoes because I felt like real shoes aren't going to look that great. So she's getting wire shoe wraps. Take your golden wire, wrap it around her shoe, her foot, not her shoe, and glue it in place. And this is what they look like fully finished. I added on some rhinestones and gems that I found in a really old box of mine. Now she can't be a fairy without wings. To make her wings, I used glitter cardstock and fabric that I used on her skirt. I used my Cricut to cut out the wing shapes. To glue them together, I used just Elmer's glue stick and I actually ironed it flat so it would hold. Once you get one piece done, we do have to continue on, so glue it down. Go ahead and smush that into place. Put glue on the other side. Make sure it's aligned. Stick it down again and iron it down to make it permanent. Ironing it might not be 100% necessary, but it made it faster. So just think about it. Once they are fully dry, we're going to cut off the excess fabric. Go ahead and just snip around, and if you end up having too much excess fabric, you can always take a lighter to burnish the edges, but I decided that that was a little risky and I didn't want to accidentally melt them. So once they're done, they look like this. I have them separate so they're actually articulated and you can move them. They look really cute in the end, so I like it. Once we have all the pieces, you're actually going to take something sharp, I used an X-Acto blade, and poke a hole in all of the wings. Once you've poked a hole, we're going to attach all of them. To make sure that they look proper on the doll, we're doing a front wing, the other side front wing, a back wing, and the other side back wing. That way, they look cohesive from the front, and they're overlapped in a way where they still work. Go ahead and take a piece of wire, feed it through, and smush it down. If the wire ever gets loose over time, you can always just tighten it again. And this is what she looks like all finished. I think she turned out so cute and so sad. I absolutely love how fluffy her skirt is and how the pink and the teal of her skin actually match really well. Let me know in the comments what you think of her. And here's the group shot of all our dolls together. I think everybody did an absolutely amazing job, and I can't pick a favorite. They're all just so cool and unique. If you want to watch any of their videos, they'll be linked down below. Well, thank you so much for watching. Now it's time to pick a name for her. I think because she is a magical girl and she's a wrinkled peach mushroom, the name Momoko is going to be perfect. Momo is actually the Japanese word for peach. Well, what do you think of the name? Oh, honey, do you need a hug? Well, Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye!